The year was 2247 and Earth glowed with hope. Cities sparkled under the Terran Coalition, a government that united all humans. Colonies dotted the solar system, from Mars to the moons of Jupiter. Life was good, but danger loomed far beyond the stars. On Luna, Earth's moon, a grand hall buzzed with tension. Leaders from many worlds gathered for a summit. The air felt heavy as the Kraxan Empire's ambassador, a tall creature with sharp claws and cold eyes, stepped forward. Its voice boomed, shaking the room. "Humans spread too fast, your colonies threaten us. Kneel to the Kraxan Empire or be crushed." He-Jin, a human diplomat, stood tall. Her dark hair was tied back, and her eyes burned with fire. She was not afraid. "You think we'll bow?" she said, her voice clear and strong. "You want war? We'll give you a war." The room gasped. The Kraxan ambassador hissed, its claws twitching. Without another word, it stormed out, leaving a chill behind. Days later, the Kraxans struck. A human outpost on Titan, a moon of Saturn, vanished in a blaze of light. Thousands of lives were lost. The news spread across Earth like wildfire. People gathered in city squares watching screens that showed the smoking ruins. Fear gripped some, but anger burned hotter. Humanity would not break. Ye-Jin sat in her office on Luna, staring at a hologram of Titan's wreckage. Her heart ached, but her mind raced. She called a meeting with the coalition's top leaders. Admiral Dong-Su, a gruff man with scars from old battles, joined her. His gray hair and stern face hid a fierce loyalty to Earth. Su-Min, a brilliant scientist with a quick smile, was there too. She worked on secret projects that could change everything. "We can't let this stand," Ye-Jin said, slamming her, fist on the table. "The Kraxans think we're weak. We'll show them they're wrong." Dong-Su frowned. "Their ships are stronger. Their weapons are better. We need a plan, not just words." Su-Min leaned forward, her eyes bright. "I'm working on something, a weapon. It's called the Graviton Disruptor. It could break their shields, but it's not ready yet." Ye-Jin nodded. "Then we buy time. Dong-Su, ready the fleet. Su-Min, finish that weapon. I'll talk to the people." That night, Ye-Jin stood on a platform in New Seoul, Earth's biggest city. A crowd of millions stretched before her, their faces lit by glowing signs. Drones floated above, broadcasting her words to every corner of the planet. "The Kraxans attacked us," she said. "They killed our families. They think we'll surrender. But we are human. We fight, we build, we win. Together we'll show them what we're made of." The crowd roared, their voices shaking the ground. Young and old, rich and poor, they raised their fists. In that moment, humanity became one. Back on Luna, Dong-Su walked through a massive hangar. Ships of all sizes lined the walls, from sleek fighters to heavy cruisers. His boots echoed as he inspected the fleet. "Not enough," he muttered. The Kraxans had more ships, bigger ones. But he trusted Ye-Jin. He trusted his pilots. He would fight with what he had. Su-Min, meanwhile, worked in a hidden lab deep under Earth's surface. Her team of engineers buzzed around her, testing strange machines. The Graviton Disruptor was a gamble. It could turn the tide, but one mistake could destroy it. And them. Su-Min's hands moved fast, tweaking wires and checking screens. "Come on," she whispered. "We need you to work." Far away, the Kraxans planned their next move. Their ships, dark and jagged, gathered in deep space. They laughed at humanity's defiance. To them, humans were ants, annoying but weak. They did not know what was coming. Ye-Jin stood alone on her balcony, looking at the stars. The weight of her words pressed on her. She had promised a war, but could they win? Doubt crept in, but she pushed it away. She thought of the people, cheering of the lives lost on Titan. "We'll fight," she said to the night, "and we'll win." The Kraxans' attack had lit a spark. Humanity was awake, angry, and ready. The war was just beginning, and Earth would not go quietly. The Kraxan attack on Titan shook Earth, but it also woke a sleeping giant. In cities and colonies, humans stood together, ready to fight. The Terran coalition worked fast to build a defense, and He Jin, the diplomat who defied the Kraxans, led the charge. Her words still echoed, "You want war? We'll give you a war." In New Seoul, He Jin met with leaders from every corner of Earth. Old rivalries were forgotten as presidents, generals, and even rebel leaders pledged their support. He Jin's voice was calm but firm. "We're not just fighting for Earth," she said. "We're fighting for our future." The room nodded. The coalition was one. Admiral Dong-Su was on Mars, inspecting the Terran fleet. Hangars buzzed with activity, as workers repaired ships and loaded weapons. Dong-Su's face was hard, but his heart lifted. The fleet was small compared to the Kraxans, but every ship mattered. He walked past a young pilot, Jiho, who saluted sharply. "We'll make them pay, sir," Jiho said. Dong-Su nodded. "We will, kid." Deep under Earth, Sumin's lab hummed with energy. Her team worked day and night on the graviton disruptor, a weapon that could break Kraxan shields. Sumin's eyes were tired, but her mind was sharp. A new engineer, Taeho, joined her team. He was young, with wild ideas and a big grin. "What if we boost the disruptor's power with a fusion core?" he asked. Sumin raised an eyebrow. "Crazy, but maybe it'll work." They got to work, sparks flying as they built. Hyejin knew words alone wouldn't win the war. She went to the people. In a massive stadium in New Tokyo, she stood before a sea of faces. Screens broadcast her to billions across the solar system. "The Kraxans think we're weak," she said. "They're wrong. We're builders, fighters, dreamers. Join us. Fight with us." The crowd roared, and soon volunteers flooded recruiting. Stations, farmers, teachers, even teenagers like Taeho signed up. Humanity was all in. But the Kraxans weren't waiting. Their ship struck Mars, Earth's biggest colony. Red dust clouds rose as lasers cut through human defenses. Dong-Su's fleet scrambled to fight back. Jiho's fighter darted through the chaos, dodging Kraxan blasts. "Stay tight," Dong-Su barked over the radio. The human ships held their ground, but barely. When the Kraxans retreated, Mars was scarred, and many ships were gone. Dong-Su clenched his fists. "We can't take another hit like that." Back on Earth, Sumin and Taeho made progress. The graviton disruptor hummed to life in a test. It sent a shockwave that shattered a steel block. Sumin smiled for the first time in days. "It's working," she said. Taeho pumped his fist. "Let's make it bigger." But Sumin knew they needed time. Time the Kraxans might not give. Hyejin faced her own battles. Some coalition leaders doubted her. "The Kraxans are too strong," one said. "Maybe we should talk peace." Hyejin's eyes flashed. "Peace? After Titan? After Mars? We fight, or we die." Her words silenced the room. Even the doubters fell in line. Taeho, meanwhile, barely slept. He worked with Sumin, tweaking the disruptor. One night, he found an old data chip in the lab, filled with forgotten human tech. "This could help," he told Sumin, showing her designs for faster ships. She nodded. "You're full of surprises, kid." They sent the designs to the fleet, and Dong-Su's engineers got to work. Across Earth, factories roared. Ships, weapons, and supplies poured out. Volunteers trained in deserts and space stations. Jiho, now a squad leader, pushed his pilots hard. "The Kraxans won't wait," he told them. "Neither can we." His team nodded, ready to fly into fire. Hyejin watched it all from Luna. She stood by a window, Earth glowing below. The Kraxans thought humans were soft, divided. They didn't see the fire burning in every heart. Hyejin thought of Titan's ruins, of Mars's scars. She thought of Sumin's weapon, Dong-Su's fleet, Taeho's ideas, Jiho's courage. "We're not just ready," she whispered. "We're coming for you." The war was young, but humanity was rising. The Kraxans would learn what humans could do when pushed too far. The war against the Kraxans raged on, and humanity fought with everything it had. The Terran coalition grew stronger, but the enemy was fierce. Hyejin's defiance had lit a fire, and now it was time to strike back. The graviton disruptor, humanity's secret weapon, was almost ready, but it needed a real test, one that could change the war. In a hidden lab under Earth, Su-min and Tae-ho worked non-stop. The disruptor hummed, its lights flashing as they ran tests. "It's strong now," Tae-ho said, wiping sweat from his face. "But we need to try it in battle." Su-min nodded, her eyes serious. "If it fails, we're done." They sent the plans to Admiral Dong-su, who was planning a bold move. Dong-su stood on the bridge of his flagship staring at a map of the asteroid belt. The Kraxons had a supply line there, a weak point. "We hit them hard," he told his officers. "We test the disruptor and show them we're not afraid." Ji-ho, now a trusted pilot, overheard and grinned. "Let's do this, sir." Dong-su chose a small fleet, fast and tough, with Ji-ho leading the fighters. The mission was risky. The asteroid belt was a maze of spinning rocks, perfect for an ambush, but dangerous. The Kraxon ships were huge, their shields glowing bright. Dong-su's fleet hid behind a massive asteroid waiting. Su-min had fitted one ship with the disruptor, a clunky device that hummed loudly. "It better work," Dong-su muttered. The Kraxons appeared, their ships gliding like predators. Dong-su gave the signal. "Now!" Human ships shot out, lasers flashing. Ji-ho's fighters zipped through the chaos, dodging blasts. The disruptor ship moved forward, its weapon glowing. "Fire!" Dong-su shouted. A shockwave ripped through space, hitting a Kraxon dreadnought. Its shield flickered, then died. The human fleet cheered as their lasers tore the ship apart, but the victory cost them. Kraxon reinforcements arrived and the battle turned brutal. Ji-ho's squad fought hard, but ships exploded around them. Dong-su's flagship shook as blasts hit. "Fall back," he ordered. The fleet escaped, but half their ships were gone. Ji-ho landed, his fighter damaged, his face pale. "We hurt them," he said, "but we paid for it." Back on Earth, Su-min and Tae-ho watched the battle. Data. The disruptor worked, but it was slow to recharge. "We need to make it faster," Tae-ho said, sketching ideas. Su-min smiled faintly. "You never stop, do you?" They worked through the night, ideas sparking between them. Hyejin faced trouble on Luna. Some coalition leaders panicked after the losses. "We can't keep fighting," one said. "The Kraxons will crush us." Hyejin stood tall. "We just broke their best ship. We're not done." Her words steadied them, but she felt the weight. Every loss hurt. Then came a breakthrough. Ji-ho's squad had captured a Kraxon drone during the battle. Su-min and Tae-ho cracked its data, finding a map to the Kraxon homeworld. But there was more. The Kraxons were building a planet killer, a weapon to destroy Earth. "We have to stop them," Su-min said, her voice shaking. Tae-ho nodded. "We will." Dong-su took the news hard. He sat alone, thinking of the pilots he'd lost. The war was breaking him, but he couldn't stop. He called Ji-ho. "Train harder," he said. "We're going after their homeworld." Ji-ho saluted, his eyes fierce. "Yes, sir." Hyejin met with Su-min and Tae-ho. "This changes everything," she said. "We strike first before they use that weapon." Su-min showed her the improved disruptor plans. "We're close," she said. Tae-ho added, "We'll make more. Enough for the whole fleet." Hyejin trusted them. "Do it fast," she said. Across Earth, people worked harder. Factories built ships and weapons, volunteers trained, inspired by Hyejin's speeches. Ji-ho pushed his pilots, flying drills until they were perfect. Dong-su planned the next move, his heart heavy but determined. Su-min and Tae-ho barely slept, their lab a mess of wires and hope. Hyejin looked at Earth from Luna, its blue glow steady. The Kraxons thought they'd won, but humanity was turning the tide. The losses hurt, but the disruptor's success gave hope. The war wasn't over, but humans were ready to fight smarter, harder, and together. The war with the Kraxons pushed. Humanity to its limits, but hope burned bright. The graviton disruptor had proven itself, and the captured cracks in data revealed their homeworld and their planet-killer weapon aimed at Earth. Hyejin, Dong-su, Su-min, and Tai-ho knew they had to act fast. Humanity would strike first, hitting the Craxons where it hurt most. Hyejin worked tirelessly on Luna. She met with leaders of neutral alien species, her voice steady as she asked for help. The Vorians, a cautious race with fast ships, agreed to share maps of Craxon space. The Drali, traders with sharp minds, sent supplies. Hyejin's charm and honesty won them over. "We fight for our home," she said. "Will you stand with us?" They did. On Earth, Su-min and Tai-ho turned their lab into a factory. The graviton disruptor was no longer a prototype. Teams built dozens, fitting them onto ships. Tai-ho's wild ideas made the weapons smaller and faster to use. "We'll light up their fleet," he said, grinning. Su-min nodded, but worry lines creased her face. "We need every ship ready," she said. They worked late, coffee cups piling up. Admiral Dong-su trained a strike force on Mars. His fleet was lean, built for speed and surprise. Ji-ho, now a top pilot, led the fighter squads. "We'll hit and run," Dong-su told them. "The Craxons won't expect us." Ji-ho's eyes gleamed. "They'll regret messing with us." The pilots trained in simulators, dodging virtual lasers and weaving through asteroid fields. But trouble brewed in the coalition. Some leaders feared the plan was too bold. "Attacking their homeworld? It's suicide," one shouted. Hyejin faced them in a packed meeting hall. "If we wait, Earth dies," she said, her voice like steel. "We fight now, together, or we lose everything." The room fell silent. Her words reminded them of Titan, of Mars. They voted to fight. The fleet launched from Mars, a mix of sleek fighters and heavy cruisers. Dong-su's flagship led the way, disruptors glowing on every ship. They jumped to Craxon space, far from Earth, where stars burned cold. The Craxon homeworld loomed, a dark planet circled by massive shipyards. The enemy fleet was huge, but Dong-su had a plan: hit fast, confuse them, and destroy their strength. The battle began with a trick. Ji-ho's fighters darted in, drawing Craxon ships into a trap. Human cruisers fired disruptors, shattering shields. Craxon ships exploded in bright flashes, but they fought back hard. Lasers cut through human ships, and Dong-su's flagship rocked. "Keep moving," he yelled. Ji-ho's voice crackled over the radio. "We've got this, sir." Tai-ho was on a support ship, watching the battle. He noticed a Craxon shipyard building new ships. "If we take that out, they're done," he told Su-min over a comm. She hesitated. "It's too dangerous." Tai-ho shook his head. "I can do it." Before she could stop him, he took a small ship, loaded a disruptor, and flew toward the shipyard. Craxon defenses fired at Tai-ho. His ship spun, dodging blasts. "Come on," he whispered, aiming the disruptor. He fired, and a shockwave tore through the shipyard. It exploded in a fireball, crippling Craxon production. But a laser hit Tai-ho's ship. "Tell them we did it," he said, his voice fading. His ship vanished in a flash. Su-min stared at her screen, tears in her eyes. "You did it, Tai-ho," she whispered. The tide turned. Craxon ships faltered, confused by the human attack. Dong-su's fleet pressed harder, disruptors lighting up the dark. Ji-ho's fighters weaved through the chaos, taking out enemy guns. Back on Luna, Hyejin watched the battle feed. Tai-ho's sacrifice hit her hard, but it gave them a chance. She sent a message to Earth, her voice strong. "We're winning because of heroes like you. Keep fighting!" The people cheered, factories working faster, volunteers training harder. Dong-su's fleet regrouped, battered but alive. The Craxon homeworld was in reach, its defenses weak. Ji-ho landed, his fighter scorched. "For Tai-ho," he said, saluting. Dong-su nodded. "For all of us." Hyejin looked at the stars, feeling the weight of every loss. Tai-ho was gone, but his courage lived on. Humanity was striking back and the Craxans were reeling. The final fight was coming, and Earth was ready. The air crackled with anticipation. Alara, her face streaked with grime but her eyes shining, with fierce determination, stood before the ancient obelisk. For 5 grueling parts she had faced impossible challenges, treacherous jungles, cunning traps, monstrous guardians. This, the final part, felt different. It wasn't about dodging dangers. It was about understanding. The obelisk hummed, a low thrum that vibrated through the ground. Runes, glowing faintly, covered its surface, whispering secrets only Alara could decipher. She had spent years studying forgotten languages, poring over dusty scrolls, all leading to this moment. This was the culmination of her life's work. A voice echoed in her mind, not from her ears, but from deep within her soul. It was the voice of the obelisk, ancient and powerful. It spoke of balance, of the interconnectedness of all things. It spoke of a forgotten power, a power that had slipped from the world, leaving a void that threatened to consume everything. Alara understood. The previous parts were not just trials, they were lessons. She had learned to trust her instincts, to rely on her wits, and most importantly, to respect the world around her. The true challenge wasn't to conquer the obelisk, but to understand its essence, to attune herself to its ancient wisdom. She reached out a trembling hand, touching the cool, smooth stone. A surge of energy flowed into her, not a destructive force, but a gentle wave of understanding. Images flooded her mind, vibrant landscapes untouched by human hand, creatures living in harmony, a world bathed in a golden light. It was a vision of what could be. A world healed and restored. The obelisk pulsed, its light intensifying. Alara felt a strange connection, a deep resonance with the ancient power it held. It wasn't about control, it was about cooperation, a merging of wills. She closed her eyes, allowing the energy to flow through her, cleansing her of doubt and fear, filling her with peace and purpose. Slowly, she began to chant, her voice barely a whisper at first, but growing stronger, echoing with the power of the obelisk. The runes on the stone glowed brighter, responding to her words, to her understanding. The air around her shimmered, the world seeming to warp and bend around her. The final rune, a symbol of unity, ignited with blinding light. Alara felt an overwhelming surge of energy, a feeling of completeness. She stood bathed in a radiant glow, her body humming with power. The obelisk, its purpose fulfilled, fell silent, its light fading into a gentle luminescence. Alara opened her eyes, a new strength in her gaze. The trial was over, not just for her, but for the world. The void was sealed, not by force, but by understanding. The forgotten power had returned, not as a weapon, but as a gift. And Alara, the humble scholar, was its custodian. Her triumph was not in conquering the obelisk, but in understanding its heart, in restoring the balance, in bringing harmony to the world. The 5th part was not an ending, but a beginning. A new era of peace had dawned.